So, was haben wir geendigt? I mean, the shaila that's going to be in the Gea directly. The chos again we were speaking about is going to get to the Tutz Dad, going to get to Atzilus. Mitzad Echad we say that Atzilus is Gilei Helen. Mitzad Sheni we say that Atzilus is Ein Arech, that the Uft of Atzilus is that it's Eres Bekelim. There's Chachma and Chesed and Gvura, and there's the Gilei Lekurs through these Kelim, through these terim of Chachma and Chesed. That's in Chachma and Chesed, all the Inin of Gvul. It's in Yanim Pratim. And the Lakusish is Nizgala through Kelim is all Lechura Inyan Mugbal. The Lakusish is Nizgala through an Nizmslabish, the Nizgala in Yanim of Milas Pratius, Chachma, Chesed. The Idach we say, so Lechura that's Bein Arech. Legabe Ein Sof, so the Inyan of Tzir is a Chiddush, there's no Erech between the Amitas Ein Sof, Legabe Tzir. Mitzadechan. It's Sheni we'd say that Atzilus is Gilei Helen. That through this spheres that Atzilus is Nizgala, and not only through them is Nizgala, but that Atzilus is not a Ini which just comes B'zerech, B'derech Chiddush Yesh Ma'ayin, but it's Behemshich, and it's Megala, the Helen, which is the Malim Atzilus, the Helen which is Ein Sof. So the beer, the way it's Mevar now is that Sevenzach L'Gabi, which Darga we're speaking about? The Gabi, the Kav, Atzilus is Gilei Helen, Mashiach L'Gabi Ein Sof, Atzilus is Yesh Ma'ayin. It means L'Gabi Amitis Ein Sof. The way is higher than Kav. Atzilus is Be'en Arich, and there's no Erech, there's no Yachas at all between Atzilus and the Ershil and the Ein Sof. Mashiach L'Gabi Eir HaKav, so Eir HaKav is in Yoni, the Eir, it's that Pchin of Eir, which is in Yoni, is to be Nimshach, Pchinas Mido Gvul. So the Gabi that Eir, Atzilus comes with Derech Gidei Helen from the Eir HaKav. And he's Mevar that, Behesin, there's two shittas Gabi Eir HaKav, he's Mevar it now, the Shlav that we're in the Hemshech is explaining it according to the Alter is Mevar, in Teira Eir, Reveal of Shmalchus, that there is two Amshachas from Pchinas Ein Sof. There's Amshachas from Pchinas Bli Gvul, Amshachas from Pchinas Ein Sof, and that is also Meir L'Acharat Tzimtzum from Pchinas Makif. The Eir HaSeva Kolam comes from the first Amshacha, the Amshacha Aleph, the Amshachas from Pchinas Ein Sof Bli Gvul, and that's the Eir Shilifi Eifen HaEtzem. As we the Etzem is Ein Sof, so the Eir which in Yoni is the Etzem Kamesh Hu is Nizgal is also Pchinas Bli Gvul, and mitzad that Eir there's no Nisin HaSmakim, it's Mizbatel the Metzius of Welt. That's why he's Meir Pchinas Makif L'Acharat Tzimtzum. He's Merema Muvdal. And that's where the Nisim and Hogesh L'Malim Derech HaTeva, Shidud HaTeva, Bittul HaTeva is Nimshach from that Eir, from that Pchina. And then there's the Pchinas HaKav, which is from Amshach HaShniya, different. Amshach HaBiz is also in of Eir, but it's Eir which is Nimshach of Pchinas Mido Gvul. It's Eir, on one hand, it's also Eir Mein Amor, it's Eir Abli Gvul. It's not in of Kelim, it's not in of Amshach HaPchinas Gvul. It's not an Eir which begins with Tzimtzum. Not the Eibishim Sadatzim is Ein Sof, the Lukusim Sadatzim is Ein Sof, and the Eir HaKav is the way Lukus is Meir of Pchinas Gvul. It's also Eir. Eir is Eir Mein Amor. So the Eir HaKav is also Eir. But it's Eir Abli Gvul, but in Yoni is to be Meir, not in a Eifen, which is Mevatel Gvul, in a Eifen of Ein Sof, but the way the Bli Gvul is Meir in Gvul. Yeah, that's Aderech, like I say, when you get to that, the way it's Mishtatzos, and Tindish, and Nagas HaTeva, so Mitzadech, Tmidius, Nitzchius comes from Bli Gvul. A Dover Mugbal has to have a hefsek and a shinit. In of Nitzchius is Mitzad Bli Gvul. Leidach, in was besteht der Ein Sof, in Mitzvah Tindish, and Nagas HaTeva, it's not an Akud of Bli Gvul itself, of Shlilas HaGvul, Shlilas HaGbalis, is that the Gvul has no limits. So there's a musig of Bli Gvul, the way it's Nizgale, bechibur with Gvul. That's the Eir HaKav. It's, on one hand, it's Eir. The Eir Mein Amor is, in Yoni is also Cher the Pshitus of Alakus, the Etzem, should be Meir. But the Etzem should be Meir in a way that it's Meir with the Metzius, or in the Metzius. In Chacham v'Chesed. That's the reason why. And his Meirech, that's in order for the Eir HaKav, so like a Verna Zayin, that there should be Eir, and it should be Bechuber with Elamis, with Gvul, that's through the union of Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum Rishon, so there's two Tnuas in the Eir. Tzimtzum, that's his Masri before, in the beginning of the Maimer Vayelech. That Tzimtzum, what's the Uft of Tzimtzum, what's the beer that through Tzimtzum Rishon, there's able to be this Eir HaKav, what's the Nukod of Tzimtzum Rishon? Mitzad Echad, the Eir Ein Sof, it wasn't, when you say Tzimtzum, it's not just that there was a Silika Eir and the Eir wasn't Meir. But on one hand, there's two Tnuas down there. On one hand, the Eir is Na'ifin of his Snasas Vavdol, and Na'ifin of his Almas. The Eir is Natnu of not revealing himself Kameshu. And mitzad that Nekodim, mitzad the fact that the Rav, in the Mashal, is in a matzav of Tzimtzum and Muvdol. It's not Meir by him, his Seichel Kameshu. So the Eir in Saf Shalifin at Tzimtzum, is Na'ifin of Hel and Vesiluk. Mitzad that, there's an Smakim for Elamis, there's an Smakim for Gvul. Le'idach, that's only one side of the coin, one Tnuah, the Tnuah of Silik Beis Almas. Le'idach, there's also enough Chazer Beheir, that even though Mitzad Echad, there's an Esinas Magna for Elamis, Mitzad the Tunu of Silik with Simtsum. Leidach, the Rav is also Chazer and Meir, that the Bligval should be Meir, but the Bligval should be Meir, Chazer in Elamis. Not the Bligval should be Meir the way it is before the Tunu of Simtsum, which there was his Galas Eins of Kameshu. Here it's the Chazer Beheir together with the Tunu of his Almas. Means the air is there's Tunu of Silik, which is in the air, and B'Yachadim Zeh, there's the Tunu of Fachis of Chazer Beheir. That's the okay. But you can last time. The Nekudas Advarim is that I've done flected zwei shaylas. Ein shayla is manavshach. If kav is ermein amar, so ermein amar is kav is me'in the insof. So how's the shaylas and that still is gile helam legabe akav. So how's the shayla say that this is gile helam legabe akav and it's me'in arich klal. It's yesh ma'ayin legabe insof legabe damshach aleph manavshach. The kav is ermein amar, ermein insof. So if the Atzilus is the Gili of the Kav, so come to Chayes that it's the Gili, also the Gabi there in Sov, which is the Sheresh HaKav. That's number one. Number two, the way we're understanding is the Uftu that the Kav is a Chibur of the Spashtus Alukus. In Gvul, in Metzias, it's a Chibur of these two inyanim. The way is Mavar at the beginning of Vayelech, that's the Schadish through Tzimtzum. The Shadish of such an inyan is through Tzimtzum. Without Tzimtzum, without a Tunu of Siluk in the air, so the air is Leher Yamakal Midas Elam, which is not a sin smoking for Gvul. The fact that the kabinah is not for gvul, that's through tzimtzum derech siluk, through the tnus. So the shaila is, and the Alter Rebbe is mashma nali, and the Alter Rebbe is mavar in of kav. That kav is amshach and mechnas gvul umid. The Alter Rebbe says l'chatchila mitzad insof. There's too many amshachas. There's too many amshachas. So it's l'chatchila. There's two efanim of shacha. There's the area which is meir mechnas insof. The area mechnas gvul. Now the tzimtzum is, in order for this amshacha beis, in order for it to come to the pile, is through tzimtzum. L'chatchila from insof, there's two efanim of amshacha. Amshacha, which is an efan of bligva, and amshacha, which is an efan of kav. So the shaila is, if we're dealing with one area insof, v'shayach has two types of amshachas. What's the pshat? Mitzad ein sof, there's two different tnuas. L'chatchila mitzad ein sof, there's two different tnuas. A tnu of bligva and a tnu of gvul. That's the shaila that we learned last week. Yeah. Get Lamarani bin Dominion. Acheninu. Says this. Acheninu tini yedua am the yisa bezer betikon. The lashon state is as state as in sof ulamayla adin ketz. And lamata adin tachas. That's the lashon says in the gabayrin. Says the air is ein sof. We'll see the pratam when they get to the words air and sof. That's the is going to be mamshach later. But for now, he's medayik. The air is ein sof, and Pashtus and Vos brings to Chareis the fact that the air is ein sof. That is lamayla adin ketz. He's Lamaila, without any limits, without any end, and he's Lamata Adin Tachlis. So the Shaila L'Chure in move and Ech Shayach Maila Mata Bein Sof. The Rebbe teaches the Shaila in V'Nochi Yudalid is teaches two teachers. In Pashtus when you say is Hu Lamaila Adin Kes Lamata Adin Tachlis. The Havana is you say Al Derech like you say the Nefesh Adam. So the Nefesh has Keches Naila. Seichel, Midis, Chacham, Binadas, the Nefesh has Zeir Heiche Keches. The Nefesh has a very refined side, fit. Edel side, the pshitas nefesh. Leidach, the nefesh also has keches nemuchim. The nefesh could also be misyachis to low things. Has also nidrik keches. So you say Erin Sof, who lemayla adin kes? Erin Sof say Alein is lemayla mayla, zeir heich, and Alein is echet nidrik lamata mata. So the lamala and the mata are going on the Eretz, on the Ein Sof himself. That he himself is echet very high. He's zeir heich. Leidach zeir nidrik. So the shaila is, I've then reflected in a movie, if it's ain't safe, he has no limits, he has no agbala, so it's pasha v'davas apshitas. How does the shaila say that he's zeir heich? Maila mata is none of gvul. It's mailas madrigas, so there's madrigas nailas mait, there's maila, heicha madrigas, mufshit from tzir, and then there's mata, there's nidrika madrigas. But Erin Tzav is higher than tzir b'chlal. It's pshitas. So how does the shaila say la mata? That's then the gam is, even if you're going to say, this is what attaches to the gam is, if it's taich lamayla lamata, it's not going on the air. Not that the air himself, he himself is lamayla lamata. Ed alein is zeir heichan zeir nidrik. But the pshat is, in the elemis there's mayla lamata. In Metzias there's mayla lamata. There's elemis nailam and elemis nemuchim. And what the zeir and the kurim is saying is that air himself is gefinzach umedum. He's gefinzach lamayla adin ketz. Vu heich zonder zayin, air himself is mispashed there. Not that he himself is high and he himself also is low. You say Psara that he himself has a big oimek and he's also able to be he has the ability of being small also. The pshat is an element is ma'lamata, and the Erin Sof, which is pshitis, this Chazal is saying that the Erin Sof gefinzach umedum. He's everywhere. He's Lamai Adin Ketz and Lamata Adin Tachas. To have them frekt, in the Lashon, it sounds like it's one Hemshech, but this is the way the Rebbe teaches in the Maimer of the Vinoch. They bring it over here. Order 19. Says V'gam Me'achad Adin Sof Lamai Adin Ketz Lamata Adin Tachlis Im Kein Harilei Shchilik B'mai Lamata. V'hava the Lemei Adin Sof Lisa Sarpana Minei U'mau Inei Lamai La'ad U'Lamata Chulu. Says, yeah, in the Lashon itself, it's not Ezge Taish that is two separate things. The Mashmal says, we're saying one Taish Lamai Ketz Lamata Adin Tachlis. And that's two shaylas. First of all, how shaylas say ma'ala mata ne'insav, and also if he's ma'ala mata, it's one inyan, it's not two inyan. But in Pashtus, it's two separate taish in the way taish is ma'ala mata. It's not one taish in the Chazal and two shaylas on that taish. It's two separate taish. Yeah. I mean, in the Ma'amar Nachidal says that. Huh? I'm saying if you say that he says so what does it mean? How does it shaykh to say that Erin Saf he is in a Eifin of Lamaila Maila, or let's say he contains high keches or whatever the beer is, and he's also Lamata. That's the first shayla. Not the Maila Mata that the Eir is Maila Mata. Then V'gam Echad Erin Saf Ula Maila Nekes Mata Erin Tachtas. He himself. What do you mean Harilish Chilik B'Maila Mata? He himself, according to the first pshat, Alein Hot Heiche Keches Nidre Keches. What's the shayla Harileish Chilik B'Maila Mata? So here he's teaching differently. Here he's teaching that the pshat l'mayla kesamata and tachas doesn't mean that Erin Sof has a high side and a side that is misyachas tamata. Keches namuchim. Huh? Yeah. You reject that pshat. And you're saying the gam is another pshat. What's the pshat Erin Sof l'mayla and ketz? See, the lashon is hula mayla. The mashmos you can teach the lashon that is going that the Erin Sof is very very high and is very very low. That is going at the Erin Sof Gufa. The second taich is that in Eilemis is Lamai Lamata. There's Eilemis is Madrigas. And the Pshat of Yisrael Lamai Kes Lamata and Tachlis is that the Erin Sof, which in him there's no Gdara Lamai Lamata. Edizumedum, he's everywhere. He's Lamai Lamata and Kes Lamata Mata and Tachlis. So then the first shal you don't have on this Pshat. Because we're not saying that Erin Sof Gufa, Alein Hot Seir in Zir. Alein is Pshitis. But the question is more like Pshat Tachlis, like a Lashon. Yeah, but it's not so. He's saying that Eba Zay, it's one Indian. So the fact that he's why is he the Ma'ala Adin Kes? Because he's ain't safe. For the same reason why he's the Ma'ala Adin Kes, he's also Mata Adin Tachlis. So if it's for the same Nekuda, why do you have to be Mechalek in two separate inyanim? Say that Lexis are upon a minute. Yeah, there's a diak here. It's not only he could have used a better expression. It's another word. It's brought out in it brings to when you say, that's the Altar's mind. This is a grad and a Kodach Shubat. When you say that something, you say "Leitzis are panim leil mashal." So stuck in place which is punished from Lukus. Lukus is a mal lekol amtzias. What's the pshat of Pashas when you say that one thing exists somewhere? One thing is there's a davar which is nimtza in this place. See, the Eibusha, what does it mean? The Eibusha is everywhere. What does it mean that Ein Sof is everywhere? You say that something being somewhere else in Pashas means that first of all there has to be a relationship between the thing and the makim where the thing is. If there's no yachas at all, then it's not shaychas that he should be there. Say in the mayach you have seichel, because the mayach is a keli to seichel, and if a person understands the svara, so now that svara is gefinzach be'em and kaf. He understands it. It's niklat be'em. But you can't say that the svara is in a person's heart. There's no shaychas in a svara between a logical cheshbon with hergish. It's two separate musagim, and the mela a svara is gefinzach in heart. When you say something is somewhere, you say a davar gashmi, a chair. So a chair is a physical thing. He could be in a makim gashmi. Was meant that he gefinzach in this room. That in this room you feel his metzias. He takes up this. When he wasn't there, the space was empty. Now this chair fills up the space of that in that room. In the mayach, you say that seichel is nimtza. Seichel is present, and he exists in the mayach. So because there's like a seichel in the mayach fashteit the svara. So in the mayach there is seichel, or in the heart there is midas. The heart feels. So in the heart you have the feeling there. But so the pashtus, what's the pshat that Ein Sof? Seems going Ein Sof. What's the pshat that Ein Sof is everywhere? Let's start upon a minute. The etzem is Ein Sof. What's the pshat that Ein Sof is everywhere? In Gvul there is Ein Sof. He's saying in a davar mugbal l'chura Gvul and bli Gvul have no connection one to another. And in Gvul you don't have Ein Sof. What's the pshat that Ein Sof is everywhere? So you think about Hashem as Hashem is here, Hashem is there, but what's the pshat that David is everywhere? In every darga of Metzias, in every form of Metzias, So leis asar panim minei. Every single darga of Metzias is mali of Ein Sof. L'chora the gvul and blik gvul no shaykhs. You say in gvul there's blik gvul. In a cheer there's in a cheer the only thing that there is a cheer. A makim a kisei l'sheves. There's no nikud of blik gvul in a chair. So there's no nikud of blik gvul in a chair. There's no nikud of blik gvul on the table. So what do you mean that there's Ein Sof in the table? What does it mean leis asar panim minei? L'chora yesh asar panim minei. The table is panim minei. In the table you only have what exists within a table. What exists is only a shulchan. Ein Sof doesn't exist in a table. There is what exists in Seichel. In Seichel exists ideas, exists svaras. Ein Sof gefindt sich in Seichel. And what's the pashta pshat? This is our bana minute. Yeah, this is the pashta. It's just like saying this. People say this. Now there's like a svaras sichlis, a davar gashmi. So that's only gefindt sich in a gewisser Platz. Mashiach a svara, if 2 + 2 = 4, any sort of the sibah comes before a mesubav, you can't say that svara only exists in New York or something. The svara of a sibah comes before a mesubav exists everywhere. So leis asar panim minei. Every davar ruchni is not mugbal amakim. And that's every davar ruchni is mugbal. It's only nimtza in the realm of ruchnis, but in the realm of gashmis, the davar ruchni doesn't exist. When you say leis asar panim minei, the pshat is that in Tzaf is everywhere. That Rebbe says in Tanya. That the blik vul gefindt sich tak im dafür verstehen. But the Rebbe says that the Ein Sof k'meishu is nimtza on every single madrege. Leis asar panim minei. There's no aspect of Metzias that's not durchgenommen with Ein Sof. Why? Because the hechrich is not because if you're going to say that Ein Sof is only nimtza on a darga of blik vul, so you're being magbulim. You're saying there's a tchum. Only something which has agbala can be mukbal in a certain space, in a certain area, in a certain madre, in a certain makim, in a certain. He's only nimtza on this and this plane of reality. He's only nimtza in ruchnis. Something which has a certain gvul, you could say that he's only exists. A svara only exists in elam haseichel, or a feeling only exists in elam haregesh. But something which is amidas Ein Sof, you can't say that he exists only in a certain plane of reality, because then you're giving him a certain akbala. Maybe says Ein Sof. Ein Sof Muslim sagen that there's nowhere that he's not. And not only is that there says that the Ein Sof is nimtza b'teiche never sustain. I'm just saying it's not such a pashim. You say leis asar panim minei. Leis asar panim means when you say that something is somewhere, he exists somewhere, he's present somewhere. But there kalam means that somewhere has a shaykhis to. Because if that somewhere, if the makim has no shaykhis to the Indian, so by definition it means that the Indian is not there. It's not shaykh to say that in a davar gashmi you have a hergish. The davar gashmi is in a physical thing. You only have the mishush, the gashem of the Indian. The ruchnis of Indian you have on a ruchnistic plane of reality, not in the gashmitic side. Unless I put him in the main make pshat that the Ein Sof is everywhere. But the shaila is what's the pshat that the Ein Sof is everywhere? So when he says Ein Sof the ma'ala I guess mata in the tachlis. By davar gashmi or by davar gashmi by nivra davar mugbal. So you say the mashal that seichel, a chair only exists in a certain space, and he only you have certain things. The mashal seichel is not only mispashit, it's not only nirgash in the mayach, but a person on the svara, the bechein of the svara, there's a seichel that's also nirgash belief. So seichel is not only mispashit in an area which is a keli roi to seichel, but seichel is also mispashit. The heart is also margash the bechein of the seichel. So that's why is seichel also belief? Because seichel is something that not only the mayach has a shaykhis to seichel, also the lev has a shaykhis to seichel. You see, you have a chair that's a smaller size, so it's only going to exist. If it's an amma large chair, so it's only going to be it's going to be a mala makam of an amma. If the chair is larger, he's going to take up more space. Now there's a ruchnis. If you have an Indian which is more limited, more bagbala, so he only exists he's only can be nirgash in a darga which is mamish his Indian. Weiter kennen nicht. Seichel is not so mugbo to the tzir of seichel. Therefore, it could also be marked. He could also be nirgash belief. But why could seichel also be nirgash belief? Because there's a shaykhis in seichel and belief. In Nivraim, in order to be present somewhere, to be nirgash somewhere, you have to have a shaykhis to that place. So l'mayli we say the Eibush there is l'mayli adikes mata nitachas. So what's the pshat? Because the fact is l'mayli adin ketz is because when you say that Ein Sof is nimtza l'mayli adikes mata because he's shaykhis tzai to l'mayla and tzai to l'mata. If the pshat was the reason why Ein Sof is nimtza l'mayla adikes mata nitachas is because he's shaykhis to l'mayla and to l'mata, then it's two separate inyanim. The fact that he's l'mayla adin ketz is because Ein Sof is shaykhis to l'mayla. And the fact is lamata adin tachlis because it's shaykhs to lamata. Then it's two separate inyan. He's saying the reason when you say that Ein Sof is nimsa lamaila adikas lamata tachlis is why is he lamaila ad inkes lamata adin tachlis? Because he's not limited. Because the fact that he's lamaila lamata is not because he's shaykhs to the lamaila lamata. It's not because he's shaykhs side to the elyon side to the tachtim. Because he's Ein Sof. He's not the maila lamata is gvul. He's not maila namata. Why is he lamaila lamata? Because that's an Ein Sof. You can't say that you can't limit him. The reason why he's lamaila lamata is not because he's shaykhs to the tzir of maila and he's shaykhs to the tzir of mata. Not because he could relate kaviyachol. There's an aspect in him that relates to maila, and there's an aspect in him that relates to mata. It's one nakuda. The nakuda is that a mitzvah Ein Sof, you can't be magbul. If you can't be magbul, so the same yisod. Why is the maila adinkes? Why is the maila adinkes? Not because he's shaykhs to the tzir of the maila. Because it's not shaykh to say agbal on him. So for the same reason, he's a mata adin tachlis too. It's the same nakuda. So it's nicht sebas in the inyan. You say l'mashal, the fact that seichel can be nirgash by in b'mayach and seichel can be nirgash b'leiv is two separate inyan. The seichel could relate to a higher inyan, and his could relate to a lower keli. So the fact that he can relate to a lower keli is one aspect in him, and the fact that because every place that he's in, it's a davar b'fnei atzma. Because the fact that you're nimsa mispashet somewhere is because there's a shaykhs between the davar mispashet and the makim bayim mispashet. So if the Mekemis are two different Mekemis, the fact that Dikkas Dover is Sai Mispashet here, Sai Mispashet there, is because this Dover Sai relates to this Inyan and Sai relates to that Inyan. So it's two separate Inyan. Mashik, when you say the Ein Sof, is the Malad in Kesamata Din Tachlis? So not why? What's the Pshat Hakad is the Malad Kesamata Din Tachlis? Not because Ein Sof relates to the Maila and relates to the Mata. Not because there's a Shaykhas between the Tzir of Maila and the Tzir of Ein Sof. It's because he's Amitis Ein Sof. It's not shaykh to say that he's somewhere and not somewhere else. It's not shaykh to be magbalim. So it's not shaykh to be magbalim. Saying that he's only lamayla is going to be agbalim. Saying that he's lamata and can be lamata is also agbalim. So the same nikud that he's lamayla is lamata also because he's ein sof, because he's bligvul. Why are you saying that he's lamayla? Because if you're going to say that he's not lamayla, you're saying agbalim. And the say nikud, if you say that he's not lamata, you're saying agbalim. So the nikud of him being everywhere is a different eifin of being somewhere than a davar mugbal being somewhere. It's a different eifin. There it's one nikud. So then it's not two separate in Maila and Kesamata Din Tachlis. I'm just saying, you say a pashta dugma l'mashal. You say that a person lives a place 100 years. So the fact, and let's say you'll be able to live another 50 years, then says in Tzu Kumen, more Koyach Hakim. Then the fact that he's able to live another year, he got additional power to say another year. The fact that he's alive at 101, 102, it's not because not the same kiyum that he had till then, he has vayit. Every davar mugbal, so every nekuda that exists because he has kayach for this nekuda. If he's nitzchi, if you have no gvul, so why do you exist yesterday? Because you're nitzchi. So for the same reason, you'll be tomorrow also. A davar mugbal, the fact that he exists yesterday is not the same yisod of why he exists today. He has enough energy to live side yesterday and side tomorrow and side the next day. That's what I'm saying. If when you talk about a davar mugbal, which has agbala, which dargi he relates to, which dargi he doesn't relate to. So each dargi that he does relate to is an chiyuv in him. The fact that seichel is nirgesh amech is because seichel has the tchunis that links it to the meich. So it has the tchunis. So there's an edel meich, a grab meich, and the seichel has tchunis that links him to the edel meich. And so it's two separate inyanim. The fact that he's able to relate to edelkeit and to grabkeit is going to be two separate inyanim. Mashiach, the fact that seichel is the Eibusher is there, it's because he's ain't safe. So for the same nekuda that he's lamayla, he's lamat. Same yisayv. Adarach like in Yisayim Zman, that's something that's only here for a limited amount of time, for 2 years. So every nekuda that he exists is a nekuda b'fnei atzma. He has a certain amount of energy. How much energy does he have to exist for 2 years? So every part of it, it's not only for every part of that 2 years, he has energy to live this minute, and he has another minute, he has another minute. Mashiach is something which has no limits. He's eternal, he's nitzchi. So then it's not a separate energy for existence every second that he exists. So there's legabe makim. If the fact that I'm here is because I relate to this place, so there's something in the mohos which is miyachas into this makim. So if he's in two mekaymis, so there's two separate nekudas. His mahus is mispashet not only here, he's also mispashet there. He has an additional keach in it. So he has a keach also to exist there. Mashenkin with the fact that he's nimtza. It's because he's not limited because he's ain't safe. It's not shaykh to say Agbola legabim. So Ma'ala Lamata is all the same nekuda. It's not two separate nekudas.
So we're going to explain Taka why it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but that's of course that's the kasha that he has. It happens. It's not only he says v'havadei lemeimar that it's up leisas harpanimine. So it's not only the lush leisas harpanimine is not saying we don't say the erin itself is everywhere. We say leisas harpanimine. There's no space that is void of him. What's the lush? There's no, because it's the fact that he's everywhere is not a davar chiyuvi that he's here. And if you lose the lush erin itself nimtza b'kol makim. So about Zchariz, then it would be the same. We can have the same Havana as Bechlal when a davar muvu gefin tzachna because he's shaykhs to everywhere. So in itself is not. In itself is able to relate to everything. We were saying something else. It's not shaykh to say there's a makim outside of him. Not because it's not an chiyuv in itself. It's not that itself is here and he's also there. He's also there. It's not shaykh to say hagbalu legabiyim. It's a kener zayin and asar which darkness and nishta. It's not a lashon chiyuv legabiyim and stuff that he's nimtza b'kol makim. Leis asar panamine. There can't be a place which is going to be void of him. Because the Yisad of the first Intzaf Gefitz Chomedum is not. I'm saying, we verstehen nicht. What's the pshat that Intzaf is nimtza in Gvul? V'chore bli Gvul and Gvul have no shaykhs klal. And in Gvul you don't have bli Gvul. So the fact that Intzaf is nimtza b'Gvul is not because there's a shaykhs, because we found a relationship between bli Gvul and Gvul. Because Mekener Zagan Agbal l'gabe Intzaf. And if you can say that he's not in Gvul, you're saying Agbal. If Ein Tzaf, you can't say Agbal. No, Amit is Ein Tzaf, you can't say Agbal l'gabe. So it's a different word. It's a word in itself. Not now we're finding a shaykhs in itself in the place. It's a different eifin of the fact that he's nimtza b'makim. It's a different word. There's a lot of chilukim, but it's not. I'm saying the lashon. That's. It's a really shchilik amaylo mata. But how do they remember? There's something that's upon him. They don't understand the meaning. I'm saying it's good. Yes, I'm saying the Hemshech Advam. He wants to come to what he wants to. Sukkament with this word is a different pshat. There's two tnuas in Ein Sof. There's the inyan of l'mayla and kes and inyan of l'mayla and tachlis. We're going to see the Hemshech Advar. Yeah, and in a certain way, the Ein Sof l'mayla kes and tachlis brings out a higher inyan in Ein Sof, a higher inyan in Bli Gvul, which the Lashon Leisis Arpanim it doesn't bring out. Steht in Zaya Leisis Arpanim. It's also in Tikkunim. Where is this Arpanim? Also in Tikkunim. But steht Leisis Arpanim. Then there's another Ilui, which is in a certain way brings out a deeper musig of Ein Sof, which is brought out in this lashon that L'mayla dekes l'mata din tachlis. It doesn't do that. The V'inin hu dihine yesh lahaktim tchilo pirish Ein Sof ma'u Ein Sof. Yeah, because this other shaila is, you're saying Ein Sof means no Agbal. So what's the shaykh sagen zwei inyanim? No Agbal is a deeper pshat. What's the musik of Ein Sof? The dua kushib is what's the pashta pshat when you say Ein Sof? How do you touch Ein Sof? The pashta pshat is the way the energy of Ein Sof. Ein Sof is going on the etzem, and Ein Sof is the energy of the Ein Sof, the air of the Ein Sof. The Chassidus is shayla that pshat, but that's the air Ein Sof in Pashtus Advarim means not that the air itself is Ein Sof, the air of the Ein Sof. It's the air Hashemish. So what is the air Hashemish going? Is the air of the Shemish. They say the spashtus of that Ein Sof. There is the air, the spashtus of the Ein Sof. So the Mizak Ein Sof that can make a message, not about the air itself. So I've never checked Nazakash. Do a kushib is a lama kari b'shem Ein Sof. Why do they call the etzem, call the atzmus b'shem Ein Sof? V'lei b'shem Ein Leitchilo Shumai Leiser. Yeah.
It's not our Ein Sof. So why is it?
I'm saying
you're saying our Hashemish.
Yeah. Air Ein Sof. The Chassidus teaches that the air itself is Ein Sof, but that's uftu. The pashta teaches you say the spashtus of the Ein Sof. So do a kushib lama kari b'shem Ein Sof b'shem Leitchilo Shumai Leiser. Mishkasav our Meb Siver Pel Charim Shar Dal Perigimol ki kol kadme nitzchi. V'lei kol nitzchi kadme. And that's a double pashut. That means you pashut the musagam of zman, the way that Ameh brings it. Anything which is a kadmen, anything which didn't begin at a certain point, b'meilei is nitzchi. But lei kol nitzchi kadmen. Yeah, because you have something which has no limits, but there was a certain zman that it began. שרב מן הנברואים יהיו נצחיים ברצון הבריאה, אבל אין שם קדמן זולת הבריאה יתברך לבד. You have Rabbi מן הנברואים, he says, that are נצחיים, not נצחיים מצד עצמם. Yeah, he's going to remind us that in the Hamshich HaMaimer. There's no nivra which is nitzchi. In order to be a nitzchi mitzad atzma, is that kol mi she'en li tchila, en li tichla. Kol mi she'yesh li tchila, yesh li tichla. Yeah, he's going to bring it in a minute. Like upon him, das is zicher that the emes he says later, it's not shaykh to be a nitzchi in Pashtus unless you're in li tchila. Anything that yesh li tchila, the same way he began, so he could also end. The same way as what says the yesh li tchila, that he doesn't exist. Be'etzem inside himself, he doesn't exist. Man hat ihm gedacht aufmachen. At a certain moment in time, hat man ihm aufgemacht. So the same way man hat ihm aufgemacht, kann his battle nechet. Nitzchi means that this Indian is not shaykh that he should be. There's no hefsek. There's no musik of hefsek in him. He's bligvol. He has no limits. Why does he have no limits? The same way his whole mitzvah only began at a certain stage. But be'etzem inside atzma, he doesn't exist. So the same means, so that means that mitzad, without anybody doing anything, without being mechadish anything, mitzad this in itself, he doesn't exist. He's headed. What him aufgemacht. So as if he what him aufgemacht, can in his battle werden. As I try to say, we'll see that later. But the truth is that kol mishi yesh tchila yesh tichla. That tchila, whoever has a beginning, is also has a seif. In the same way he has a beginning, so merely he could end. But so the truth is that there cannot, that if you're in sof, automatically you're in tchila. The Ramesh says, Rabbi min hanevraim yinitzchim b'ratzon habeira. Rabbi and Avram will be lepel mamish nitzchi, not because they themselves contain the tchuna of nitzchis. There's no nivra that mitzad himself is nitzchi. Rabbi and Avram yitzchim while they're azivul derebish, well that's nabeir. Not because. So what's the shaila? You're calling him ein sof v'lein nitchila? Saying, but the musig of the pashas of the musig of ein sof lepel, even though there's no nivra that inherently is ein sof, but the tchuna of ein sof could it be expressed in Avram? Mash'inke the tchuna of ein nitchila is even b'ratz nabeir can sich das nicht. So if you're calling the Eibush their name, you should call him Lepoil, the mitzvahs of Ein Sof you have in Ephraim also. Lepoil Mamish, the mitzvahs of Ein Sof. But even though the mile of Ein Sof, I never can have. But Lepoil, this trait, you have it in Ephraim. Even though it's Buratz Naber. But Shekin Ein Leitchila is Lebedi is Baruch Levad. Yeah. There's another nekuda in the shaila. It's not just this. He says, "Lama karda b'shem yisrael v'lei b'shem l'tchila shomayli yisrael." It's not only a shaila. They could have called the Eibush with a better name. Why are you calling him with name ein sof? But midaf under from the hechre namen. It's not only a shaila of maili yisrael, a lower maila. The shaila is also the taich ein sof is a different taich. The Ramesh says himself, "Rabim and Ephraim yinitzchim ratz nabeir." So they're also lepel mamish they're nitzchi. They're ein sof. You have let's say the shemesh has a kiyum nitzchi. But the fact the shemesh is only nitzchi, not that the shemesh is amas zach, which it's not shaykhis that there shouldn't be a shemesh. The be'etzim the shemesh is mesugol that there shouldn't be his mitzvahs. There should be a hefsek. Besides his gather, can his battle event. The payal mamish, you see, practically the payal mamish he has a tchuna v'insa. He's a kiyum nitzchi, but not that he's not mesugol to hefsek. It's a shaykhis a hefsek in shemesh. The payal is einsa. Not that is kenish zayin hagbal in the shemesh in Ephraim. Mashiach in the nimshal, the fact that it's ein sof is not stam lepel mamish leibush is ein sof. It's not shaykhis a sof. So which word brings out not only that lepel mamish there's no end, but the musig of sof is not shaykhis the gabim that the lashon in the tchila brings out. Mali says it's not just why you calling him this mile ruf mana tzveiter mile. We're not saying what's the mitzvah mile of this Indian. The midas mile of Ein Sof is that since the Eibush is a kadmin and he's not nimtza mitzad a certain Indian, but mela it's not shaykh to say hedari. It's not shaykh to say hagbala. So it's not stam the lepel mamish the Eibush as the mile of not mugbal. It's not shaykh zagin hagbala. So the etzem taich Ein Sof doesn't bring out that nekuda. Ein Sof bring to race that the lepel mamish is not safe. The lepel mamish is not hagbala. Not that he's not shaykh to the whole musik of hagbala. That's so mile. It's not just you have another mile. That's the true mile of what Ein Sof is not expressed in the term Ein Sof. But that is in the lashon in the tchila. Yeah. So in Kobi, that's another touch. What he means from the Rameh.
Is that?
I'm saying he brings from the Rameh that Rav and Avram from Ratz Nabeir. What's the Teichen HaShayla? The way the Eibush is Ein Sof is not the way the Ephraim are Ein Sof. They're only Ein Sof. I was able to Eibush. I think it comes. I'm saying that's not because they mitzad atzmam are mushlo from Agbala. I'm saying they Ein Sof. What? Ich verstehe. So what's so the Poel only the Ein Sof. So what's the shaila? No. So before I was saying that the pshat is the Poel, the Indian of Ein Sof is expressed in Uvraim. The Tchun of Ein Sof. But it's kind of meant to say I mean, so the Lashon Ein Sof doesn't bring out Amitas Indian. Since you have Nuvraim which are Ein Sof L'Poel, not that they're not Mesugel for Agbala. They're Ein Sof L'Poel. So the Lashon Ein Sof, Mashegim about the Rebbe the Ein Sof is because Ein L'Tchila, because it's not Shaychus Agbala. So the Lashon Ein Sof doesn't bring out that Amitas Indian of what Ein Sof is.
Talking now according to the way you're explaining it, when we say Ein Sof, it means also.
We'll see later. We'll see later. Exactly. But I'm saying it's not just a question. Yeah, we'll see later. But the question is, use a word that brings out the techen in of Ein Sof. We're not just saying, why did you call him Hashem Ein L'Tchila, which is a higher mila? Say maybe that has many milas. The question is, when you say Ein Sof, you're not bringing out what Ein Sof is. The fact that Eibush says Ein Sof, you're not saying it right. Because the etzim in of Ein Sof, you also have in Uvraim. Elamai, but Eibush says Ein Sof because he's the Mechal not Shaychus to the Musik of Vul. So that the word Ein Sof doesn't bring out. That the Lashon Ein L'Tchila brings out. That's the reason that I'm because I'm saying Brel Charim Shar Dal Perigim called Kadman Nitzch Blikol Nitzchi Kadman. Yeah. Shiraben an Evrayim Yitzchim Ratzon Aber, aber in Shum Kadman Zula Saberi is Baruch Levad. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see it brought again. Shehu Levad Hu HaKadman, the Eibishter is the only Kadman. And everything else is Uvgemacht geworden. There's nothing that's here mitzad atzmei. The fact that the Eibishter is Faran, because Azam is certain Mahutz of Faran. The Eibishter is not Uvgemacht. That's Zayin Mahutz at Azay Darv Zayin. This is the way it is. Mashiach and all other Nivraim, they're only here. Be'etzem, they're not here. Be'etzem, they don't exist. And they're here means at a certain reason they're here. Means at a certain matziv, the Eibishter is a Gevalt, a certain Kavanah. Means at a certain reason they're here. Without any reasons, mitzad atzma, mitzad der Mahutz Gufa, mitzad der Mahutz, they don't exist. So, I'm saying we're saying Kadbin and Nitzchi. It's not just the Musagim Mitzvah. The Eibishter was always like a kid. A child is born. You just chveis tafshin samach as a geborn geworden, and you have the Eibishter was always here. It's a different type of mitzias. It's not the question the same mitzias, but he began and he never began. We think about Zman in saying Stamazeh, so you have the same dover. Punkt. This started. This is 2 years old, and this is unlimited amount of years old. It's nicht the pshat. I'm saying. The shaila is was for a certain mitzias. That's what we're dealing with. The mitzias of Elokus is a mitzias which is here, which is muchiv mitzias mitzadatzme. He's not here mitzad a certain tnei, mitzad a certain matzav, mitzad a certain sibba. Mitzadatzme, he's nimtza. Masheg and Ivraim are not nimtzaim be'etzem. They're nimtza mitzad a certain sibba, mitzad a certain matzav. Means the be'etzem, without any reasons, without any sibba chiyuvis, be'etzem they don't exist. Be'etzem they're header. You see, be'etzem, a table at the mitzvahs has to be. When if nothing else would exist, there's no reasons and there's no ideas. There's no ideas and no nothing and there's no world. There's no mitzvahs. The Eibishter is here. Ainly ilu v'sibash kadmu lechazashal. Mashiach in Nivraim, every nivra is here. It's at a certain matzav. It's at a certain. He's saying even the parshas advarim without. He says a svara. In order for a svara to exist, first it has to be elam aseichel. You have to say there's a musig of things have to make sense. And once things have to make sense, and there's kolam of what's considered something making sense or not, and then a svara came into the picture. So the svara is only nimtza mitzad a certain sibba, mitzad a certain tnai yomatzev, not mitzad atzmei. The svara of sibba has to come before a mitzvah. That's only based on the akdame that things have to make sense, and that so you can't say under the kolam. I'm saying. But things have to make sense in a certain hagdar of what the pshat things making sense means, and then you say that there's a musig of siba and mesubah, and then you say that there's a cloud that siba has to come before the mesubah. But if you don't have the musig of things have to make sense, so it's not shaykh to say as far as siba kedem mesubah. So then the mitzias of every nivra is totally on a siba shekadmule, on a certain matzav. You take away that in it doesn't exist. It means mitzad his muhos mitzius is not me'atz musig. His mitzvah, the fact that he exists, stammt is from sein mohos alim, because he is something which by definition exists. It's that his mohos exists. He exists at a certain matzav shechutzaleh. He needs tnaim which are mechayiv, are me'afshir as mitzias. Mashiach, the only the Eibush there is mitzias miatzmosik. Is faran, is azach v'zar zayin. Not because belief siba for either of the I'm saying the pashtus. So every nivra is in sadatzma is you say kadman that he's the beginning, that he's is azam azach v'zar zayin. Not said a certain matzah. I'm saying you see that something began a certain zman. It's not technical. 1 o'clock before 1 o'clock he wasn't here. Now 1 o'clock he's here. What does it mean that before 1 o'clock he wasn't here? That he needs a reason to be here. He needs a davar hama'afshir skiyume. Be'etzim is not. Be'etzim is himself. He doesn't exist. He needs. It's a certain tnaim he exists. So by definition, that's a pshat. He's telling zman. He's telling a certain matzah. He's telling a certain tnaim, a certain sibah. The Eibusher is here. Not mitzvah the sibah. He's here be'etzim. He's here mitzvah datzmah. So Mele is saying also in Saf, anything which has a chila also automatically has a hagbala also. The same way as if his mitzias is totally in a certain t'nai v'siba, that means that be'etzim he doesn't exist. Only in a certain t'nai. So when those t'nai man is battle, but the eichn is battle. So how could the shaykh say that he's nitzchi? Nitzchi means that this Inyan is here eternally. What is it? If he's totally in a certain Inyan, so in the battle as if before Azevi Sigvan Azam said Nish Geven. So be battle when that Matzvah Chesel Kadmus will also cease to exist. Well, the Pshat is Nitzchi. It says it's a Ramin from Yitzchak Muratz Nabeir. Our age of Kadmus also Beir is Baruch Levad. Shehu Levadi Akadman. Shemitzisi Matzmus ve'en Lesiba Achers Chas V'Shalom. It means the fact that he exists stand from Sazam Eshat Etzem as Dar Zayin. Yes, nicht aufgemacht geworden. Mashiach Sharn in Tzem Kulam Mechudoshim Ein Liesh. Filu Aknik Adon Debri Shesh L'Tchil. There's nothing that means. There's nothing that has to be Misadatzme. The only thing that has to be is the Eibush himself. Everything else, Allah, the hechste musagam as nar faran, Adam Kadman, the highest in Yanim, are all mechudesh ma'ayin liyesh. It means I'm saying they don't exist be'etzem. They're nischadish gevan, the Eibush has the gewalt nam zu sein. Adam sheyesh li tchila. V'nikra Kadman, we'll see. What's the pshat Adam Kadman? Like leisi Kadman latzilus. Yichav nabir. You calling Adam Kadman? So the part of touching it is Kadman. He's the first Adam, the first darga of Adam. Not that this darga of Adam is alam al geven. Not that it's nimtza b'derech that he's always. Oh, kedem is that he's the first darga of Adam. But that's a bezunder parsha. Oh, this is I'm saying the Taish way touches the shayes. Says kivan sheikir inu shakish baruch hu nitchila. Shezar dak mashe beis baruch hu lebezolasi. Ken kach haylam lam kobalu mekrese. V'lam nikra v'fikot sifra kabbalah b'shem yitzach. So what's the pshat the way the Rebbe touches the shayla? The ikra inyan shakish baruch hu nitchila. The main inyan, also the main inyan of the fact that he's in Saf. The main inyan is that ein litchila. V'bad ein litchila is the shaykh sagen Saf. A different type. That's the shayla. It's not stam a higher. Yeah. Inyan yuben behekt mashnach gam kobal ben keser minin es sfiris. It means two machleges am kobal. Ein machleges bringt beneget the keser. If keser is nichlal in the count of as a sfiris or not. He's going to touch up. Rab mam kobal sfirilu shakeser ein nimno bes sfiris. And that keser is inside. Es sfiris is gvul. Kelim avad is gvul. And this lamb is going to the shit that is seared in the air. So keser is ein sof. Keser is bli gvul. It's higher than seer. The mele keser is not nichlal in sfiris. Sfiris is gvul and keser is ein sof. That is Rab. Where is it? But a mark, the part the shard in ein sof wa keser nechle kalim. That keser ugam ki mechal the sfiris. And then was then. So the shitas on the mile of keser shekulim hem mechudashim ein liyesh, mashein kin b'chinas hakeser ein mechudash. So was taishter? That keser is not mechudash ein liyesh. Tziur gvul was a schadish ein liyesh. Gvul mitzadas doesn't exist. Gvul is a schadish. There's no musagim that are nimtze be'etzem. Any musig, any inyan, the hechste inyanim. Be'etzem gedaf kein zach sein. The etzem the only thing is that exists in the So gvul doesn't exist be'etzem. So it's mechudash ma'an liyesh mash. In keser is ein sof is bli gvul. Keser wasn't a schadish. Keser is not a tzir. Keser is ein sof. So keser wasn't a schadish. It's not mechudash. It's not the prat. Vazal Marazal was good to go for a minute. Vazal Marazal actually nivra elam hu yishmi bilvad. Shebchina shmei shu gam kinat shalei nivra elam atzilus and bchina keser when ikri ein sof. So what how did they teach? That keser is even before the Nabriya. Actually, nivra elam even before even before the Ischachus, means Keser is not in of Bria. So even before there was the in of Bria, the Ischachus HaMetzias, Keser is the Afilo under before the in of Bria. So before we get to the beer, just all the Vrei Masih Shaper Shnikri Insof. So he wants to say that the Rebbe Shah wants to say that the Lashon Insof Ret Metakinish Vegen the Retzem Ret Vegen Keser. And the Vrei Masih Shaper, why Keser is called Insof? Why? Well, the Nikra in the Tchila Shari Be'emes Yesh Tchila Hu Baal Hashem. Now he's saying there's two taichin. In other words, in you say something is Yesh Tchila, there's two taichin. One taich Yesh Tchila means that he has a beginning. Has a beginning means that he once didn't exist. He's not a kadman. He's mechudesh. Be'etzem, he didn't exist. And a certain matter is in his chadash geworden. That's one taich in Yesh Tchila. Pashat, they say he has a beginning. He has a nekoda from there his Metzias began. And before that nekoda, he didn't exist. That's one taich Yesh Tchila. As that taich, Kevin Zagan of Keser. That Keser Yesh Tchila literally. Because Keser, according to these shittas, Keser is not mechudesh ma'ayin liyesh. Keser is kadman, according to these shittas. But he says, so l'chora, even if you say that Ein Sof is going on Keser, say in the Tchila. Because Keser is a kadman l'shittas, he's not mechudesh ma'ayin liyesh. But if them zokter of it, there's another taich in Ein Tchila. Ein Tchila not only doesn't have a beginning, but it doesn't have a mocker. There's one eifon of Ein Tchila, not that he doesn't have a beginning, but Yesh Tchila, he has a mocker. Yesh Tchila means not that he has a beginning where the Metzias begins, that he has a mocker, he has a sibah from Vanater kommt. That's another Yesh Tchila. So you could have something that it doesn't have a beginning in the sense that he starts off at a certain point. He's, let's say, a kadmin, but he has a mocker. You say, that the shade, the tree comes together with the shade. It's not the first of the tree, and then später wird the chatchila middle ilam, but the shade by definition is the spashtus of the ilam. He has a mocker. The shade is the tzeil of the ilam. But from when you have the Metzias, you have this Titzah right away. You see, the shittas for him, or the Shemesh and Eira Shemesh. So the minute, it's not that the Eira is Nishave later. From when you have the Shemesh, you have already is light that's Mispashit from the Shemesh. But by definition, that's a Davram Mispashit from the Makkah. There's a Makkah and Davram Mispashit. Never then, from when you have the Makkah, you right away have the Mispashit from the Makkah. So it's Al Derech Zeh, you say Keser, Kaviyochel, is Al Derech Eira and the Shemesh. The Makkah, Keser is the Spashtus of Elokus. So the Etzem, the Atzmos, that's the Eibishter himself. Keser is the Spashtus, the Eir of the Etzem. But Keser has no Makkah, because from when the Etzem was, Keser was also. It's not Mechudesh Ma'ayin Liyesh. So Yesh Tchila as Sifrana Baal Hashem. There's a Makkah. But Ein Tchila in the sense that he doesn't have a beginning. Yeah, this is saying the Lashon that he says. Meir says, "Lever masi shaper shnikri insof." Why? Should be emes tchila. What does it mean that Keser has a tchila? L'chol zakstach Keser is insof, and he's not a mechudesh ma'ayin liyesh. It's not the fear that according to these mekubalim, Keser is not a mechudesh, but who Baal Hashem? He has a makkah. So there's another touch in Yesh Tchila that he has a beginning. Sedofen vanater kommt. That's the pshat Yesh Tchila.
Sorry, so how is it emes Yesh Tchila?
Who Baal Hashem means Tchila means he has a makkah, not that he has literally that he's mechudesh, not the touch of Tchila that there's a point of time that he began, because according to these shittas hamkabalim that I'm saying
So the shade has.
We'll have to understand this. Because I'm saying we'll have to understand what's the pshat that according to these shittas the Keser is not a mechudesh. How's it shaykh to say that there's an Inyan, which is not Atzmos, which is also a Kadmon? So you had the Shittas HaKaifrim, which they also believe that the Eibush created the world, but it's Al Derech, the Shemesh and Eira Shemesh, that from Van and Sigaven Lakus, there was Elamis. The Eibush is a Sibah for Elamis, so from Van and Sigaven there's Sibah, there was also the Mesubah. You have the Shemesh, is this resource for light. So if you have a resource for light, whenever there was a Shemesh, right away you have this Pashas Shemesh. The Rambam Shel, I'm saying that's the shit of Kaifrim. But that's the mashmos the way he's saying it over here, that according to these Kobalim, the Keser is not a Mechudesh Ma'ayin Liyesh. It was never this Chadash. We'll see later the Pshat. So I'm saying, according to this Taish, the Chore Keser, so he says, the Vrema, say Sharper, that's called Ein Sof and not Ein Tchila. Why is there a say Sharper? Because he says, why? Because Yesh Tchila, because who Baal Hashem? Yesh Tchila Shu Baal Hashem, but there's another touch of Ein Tchila, that he doesn't have a beginning. And the Chore Keser doesn't have a beginning, he's a Kadman. He's not. So these two taichin can never have to do one with another. if you have the tchila in the sense of Baal Hashem, so you're not the emes ein tchila. The lashon that we say that Keser is a mechudesh ma'ayin liyeh is not mechudesh ma'ayin according to these kabbalim. Meint is glad to say that Keser is a kadmin. Because if Keser is be'emes a kadmin, so why the Devrei Masih Shaper that Keser is that Ein Sof is kaya like Keser? Maybe we can't say Ein L'Tchila because he has a Baal Hashem. But he benois to the mile of Ein Sof. He also has a mile of Ein L'Tchila because he's a kadmin. So why are you calling him? Why are you calling him Ein Sof? Use a mile Yisera. Punkt is if when you get to the etzem. Why are you calling him Ein Sof? There's mile Yisera which is Ein L'Tchila. Say the same thing when you get to Keser. According to this shittas, he's not a mechudesh. What does he say? Because yesh le Baal Hashem. That's the chatzveiter taich. So you can't use the word Ein L'Tchila because Ein L'Tchila also has a different taich, a technical problem. So find the expression that's going to be kailal Ein L'Tchila. Call him a kadmin, or use an expression that's going to bring out that he has a makir, but he's not mechudesh. But mashmos is that once you say that Ein Sof is going to the Pchina of Keser, and Keser yesh the Tchila that he has Baal Hashem, he has a makir, v'meila also the Havana that he's not mechudesh is different Havana. It's not the emes and musik of Kadmon. We'll have to see, but I'm saying that's we'll have to see the Mitzvah the Pshat. So according to the Kabbalah Marishayin, so according to the Kabbalah comes out a big chiddush that b'shas is vert. He says lo menikar b'fikol sifrei Kabbalah b'shem Ein Sof. According to this beer that he's giving you the Devrei Masih Shaper, according to the Kabbalah Marishayin, that Keser is Pchinas Ein Sof and Keser is not a mechudesh. The shita some in Sifrei Kabbalah when it says the word Ein Sof, redt nicht wegen der Etzem, redt wegen Keser. We're not speaking about Atzems. It's being says before later. One of the rayis that Keser is Ein Sof, one of the rayis that he brings from the Sifrei Kabbalah is because al Atzmas in medabrim, meret kemol wegen Etzem. We're speaking already all about a pchina which is already shaykhs to gili. Okay, we'll see later. So that's the shidduch am Kabbalah. We'll see the prat. Achar magzal nechlik aleim. V'hevi rayis that Keser is mechal esas firis mamish. Sheim mechudoshim. That Keser is mechudosh ma'ayin liyesh. Punkt as if gvul, tzir, is the kula alma mechudosh ma'ayin liyesh. Since I have to say that chachma is a kadman, chachma is a tzir prati. Tzir prati, so he's totally in a davar prati. He's totally in a matzah prati. The same way you understand that any mitzias pratis, by definition, has a tchila. Means it's not be'etzem. Be'etzem, you have to first be magda that there's this musik of tzir. Any davar mukba, you have to first establish that there's 10 inyanim, there's eser spheres. That's all based on inyanim of inyanim. It's tzibur shekodmale. So it's mechudesh ma'ayin liyesh. Be'etzem, there's no gvul. Be'etzem is. So according to the Ramak, what's the mile of Keser? You see, Keser is he's makif, he's hard, and all that stuff. Tchilas has yishach lemisfiris mamish, am izgali leinu. Human achoch molamat. Al Keser b'chinas tachas helam legamri. Tish b'Keser meir gileir in saf mamish. Well, this in b'chinas mitzvah mizgal. Means according to the Ramak, Keser is a mechudesh ma'ayin liyesh. Means he's in the mitzias. But the mile of Keser is it's a lesson that Erin Saf Mamish is Meir in Keser. You're going to see later the touch. Well, there's in Chesed is Gali. The spheres, the Eris Vekalim, the spheres are Gvul, and therefore they're Begili Mamish. Mashek in Keser, even though Keser is also a Pchina Pratis according to the Ramak, it's a Pchina Pratis, not in Saf Mamish, but Dartin is Meir Erin Saf Mamish. We'll see later that's the mile of Keser. So the Keser. Avalu Gam Tmashenet Samatz Samatz. Riz B'Schan Shanamal Fichriya, the Keser Memutza. You learn till Vini Lahavin. Oh, so you're holding this focus, right? Okay. So maybe it's glad to go through till the one Hamshich. Gam Dvarim Tzichem is Hadchin Zubin is Gam Varizon is Chaim Shamal of Fichriya. The Kesser Memutz. V'yesh Mechin Tachin Shomatz. B'dikum is Hadchin Zu in Sof. V'yesh Mechin Sheresh in Tzom is Hadchin Zu Minin Esesfirs. The Gam Dvarim Tzichem Bir. Ich shach lem sheish Hadchin in Sof Mamish. Kiven sheina Kesser in Sof. Yeah. Nish vidim Kabbalah Marishayin. So according to the Rizal, Imken in Sof Muhusivatz Musik. Keser is the highest target in Sfiris, in Gilei Lukus. So if Keser is not in Sof, then in Sof is Muhusivatz Musik. So ich shaykh shib Keser Mchina Zu. What's the pshat that Keser yesh be Mchina Taflein shebe in Sof? Pardes really, the Ramak holds that Keser b'chaz Mchinas Netzav Olam in Sof. Imken Mashim, according to the Ramak, Mashay in Sof Meir beKeser is only Mchinas Or Levad. He called Gili B'chinas Or Levad, B'chinas Asmus. Kima Shemer Be'erim Ba'olol Mimenu. So it's all Kima Shemer Be'erim Ba'olol Mimenu. According to the Ramak, Keser is a Netzel. It's Mechudesh Ma'ayin Liyesh. It's a netzal mea ein sof, and what's meir from the alien, from the makir, in the makabel is always our from the makir. V'yesh is ogil b'chinas ein sof mam zegezu b'tachas helam kol genau. Aval arizal emer the b'chinal yenish b'keser the b'chinas atik hu b'chinat tachlein sheb'ein sof. Not that in keser is meir from ein sof, but the atik sheb'keser is b'chinat tachlein sheb'ein sof. V'im nemer ein sof b'chinas atzim shad b'keser yeh b'chinas zu. Manushach. If it's an olul, how could the olul have the? How could the b'chinal yen of the olul be the ilah? V'eid. Yeah. V'eid ich shayich ba'atzmas mamash the b'chinat tachlein yen. Okay. That's the answer. So we have over here one shaila. I'm just the cheshma advar. When you get to keser. If what's the mile of keser the gabishar spheres? That's the verse that keser is a mile of gabishar spheres, and a dark and a mile which is bein arich. But look, like we say when you get to the mushal, that keser is a levush al gabi arish. All the other variants, you have the reish and you have the lev. That's all the tzir kaim of the person. Mashikin keser is a different dargal gamri. It's not a part of the tzir kaim of the adam. It's higher than the whole tzir kaim. So there is say when you get us keser has a mile and a mile bein arich like gabi the spheres. The shaila is and was besteht the mile. According to the Kabbalah, the mile of keser is not a mechudesh. Wasn't this chadash ma'ayin liyesh, and keser is ein sof. And the gedem retman taka b'shas and sifra Kabbalah retman ein sof. Meint taka keser. Meint taka nish begin ein sof. According to the Rama, keser is mischadash take all of the spheres. He's a netzabol, huh?
You can answer the question why we don't call it cotton.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I'm trading that. Yeah. I just want to go through the cheshma advarim. So according to the Ramak, the keser is a netzal punkt with the spheres. The mile of keser is that it is a higher ha'ara of ein sof. The ha'ara of ein sof, the way it's meir in spheres, according to the Ramak, is meir in eifan of mugbal. Mashiach, the way the ha'ara is meir in keser, it's meir the pshita seir. It's not meir the ein sof kameshuhu in atzmos. We'll see later. But ha'ara from ein sof is meir in keser. But the uftu is the ha'ara, the way it's meir in spheres and chacham ulamata is ha'ara which comes with chinas tzir gvul. Mashiach, the ha'ara, the way it's meir in keser, according to the Ramak, is in of pshitas, in of bligvul. In of ein sof. So on one hand, it's bligvul according to the Ramak. He says that the reason why keser is b'chinas nelam is because it's meir ha'aras ein sof mamish, but it's be'ein arech to the ein sof of atzmos. So ha'arim b'chinas ein sof of atzmos. That's when they get to the Ramak. Yeah. So according to the Kabbalah and Rishonim, it's not that the keser is ein sof, while in em is meir the ein sof from malam and keser, because keser guf is ein sof. According to the Ramak, keser is ein sof because keser is ein sof, because in keser is meir a higher gili of the ein sof. It's meir the pshitas ein sof. Shaken in spheres is only b'chinas gvul. That's and the Arizal is machriya. One of the Arizal says that keser is not in sof because he says tachtein and alien. The idach so in sof is not keser. The idach he says that because he says that the dargal yena should be keser is the b'chinas tachtein should be in sof. That means that keser is not in sof. The idach he says that the atik of keser is the b'chinas tachtein of the in sof. So that verstehen what's the pshat in the Arizal. You should learn noch hakata just the cheshbon advarim. That's it. Just the ivra. Acheini in the commission nachal koam kabbalah. V'inyan hakeser v'arizal echriya chulu k'meiki nishkein machlek gezu pirish lashon in sof. What do we mean when we say in Sifrei Kabbalah lashon in sof? What's meant by lashon in sof? We'll just see. This truth is a inyan. The cheshbon pshat of the Maimer. I'm saying the seder advarim is a little. Just is confusing the seder because it starts up when they get to keser, then it's off. We'll see the pratim here, and then he says lahavin. What's the yisad of the whole shaila? He says in Neva Elishan Yisi. He says before he even begins. We'll see the seder advarim of the Maimer is interesting to say that. He means Neva Elishan Yisi. Then he starts to and he starts going into to the Musik of Ein Sof, he skips this whole Eden of Aniyah Lishanisi. He says, to verstehen besser was the Yisad of the whole Machlekes, he brings in of Aniyah Lishanisi. Then, with them to verstehen the Ramak, and he starts saying the reasons according to the Ramak why he can't say Sof, nothing to do with Aniyah Lishanisi. It's not Zayt Geinian. So, the Seder is a little, okay, we'll have to see the Prat Edvar. The Mashmas of the Maimer is, he can't understand the Ramak. The Yisad for the Ramak is the Aniyah Lishanisi. The Poel, he says that according to the Ramak, that's the Shverikat according to the Ramak. According to the Mekubalim, Aniyah Lishanisi is verstandig. So what's the Bezeh Yuvan Tamadas Ramak? Tamadas Ramak is Yuvan, besides what he says, Behemshech Dvarav, not the word of, not what comes before the Bezeh Yuvan. Huh? Okay, we'll see the. So next time we'll go through this. because maybe it's good to mention one word when you get to the Kabbalah Marishenim, and we'll the Inif and Shinui. So there's one prat. Okay, let's just look at Lashon Adar. Maybe we'll discuss one thing next time. We can do Pasha the Ivra. Again, the question: Nachal Kabbalah bin Nakash the Arizal Lechriya. Can we can Ishkenu Achli Gzupir Lashon Insof. The Ramax Redushim Insof Kailatz Musabeir. Insof right when the Deretzen. But the Meshem Bedas really different to say no Nikra Insof. Rotzen is Insof. When Nikra Sibir Shena will call it Insof. Mash Inkelum Husi Batzmus and the Achas Avil Ter Sibir. Okay, we have to have a bit room read this Nakuda. Div Arizal moving the head Yachrob is it? Machash Gazur Kasi Richin Tachlin Shal Insof. Ukili and Richin Machas Machas Insof. Moving a Mavur behead Insof innocent Lim Atzur Shalabir Mamish. Muhusivas Musim Mamish is Achel Klach Hasu Shalom Richin Tachlin Al Yenikal. Elevadi Insof Love Hanim Muhusivas Musim Mamish. You just was a Lim Richin Tachlin Chul. So on one hand, Arizal is not like the Ramak. Because if Amy Savretin wegen Atz Musim Muhusid, then Shaykh Zang Tachlin Al Yen. So in Savretin is wegen Atz Musim Muhusid. Leidach, the Rameh holds that Insof is Rotzen. Komm, move the Rav Gankid, it's really klamash because of our mother saying you Nikra Insof. Ukhavud the Bchinas Masal move worship in the Bchinas Rotzen, according to the Ramak, according to the Arizal. Vayda Bchinas Rotzen Nikra Gabay Gamkin Keser. The Ramak, the Arizal says the Bchinas Elyena should be Keser, it's Bchinas Tachtei should be Matzal, should be Insof. When he says Keser, he means the Ramak says that Rotzen is Insof. According the Arizal Hatachish does it because the Arizal says that Keser, the Bchinas Elyena should be Keser, is Tachtei should be Matzal. Keser is Rotzen. I'm going to say that there's Dargas and Rotzen, and there's maybe Raivid the Kol Raivin. So maybe the Rameh means a higher Darga of Rotzen, and the Arizal read a lower Darga of Keser. So of them Zokter, the Arizal didn't say which Darga of Keser he's dealing with. Arizal just says Keser. Vavshish Raivid the Kol Raivin. Nikar Ake Keser. Like we call him Achash, I'm going to say Keser. Shani Rotzen Yesh B'chinas Insof. The Arizal said that B'chinas Keser is not just Velcha B'chinas Keser. So B'chinas Keser Afilu Dak. Vu Narmeret Keser, the highest dargas of Keser. The Arizal says that it's Yeshem B'chinas Tachlin Shebei Insof. Kevin Dachner Zagen that the Arizal is behestim with the Rameh. So moving to Muvur, the Insof L'mayla Mayla B'chinas Ratzim. When you move on, but the Arizal B'chinas Nikra Insof L'mayla B'chinas Ratzim, Mikom Kol V'hainu Musa V'atzim Mamish.
So learn that from the Arizal, it's not finished.
No. That's the B'chin of Erbeda, and the Arizal is in Shteis getouched. But he's okay, we'll be Mamshich. Or maybe we'll say, I'm not sure if we'll start with the Shanisi, or maybe first say one word and they get to the Pshat and the Kabbalah Marishein in the middle of Keser. Actually, it's because I'm going to them first. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm saying Pashas, he brings the next machlekes to bring out. He's starting to explain the Arizal. How can he say Tachtein and Al So the teretz is that wegen was redt man redt wegen Insof. Punkt ist über der Zachro, legabi Keser, der Zachro legabi Insof. And these two achros are connected one with another. The Rameh holds that Insof goes on Rotzen. The Ramak holds that Insof goes on Atzmus. And according to the Arizal, Insof and nicht Atzmus and nicht Rotzen, nicht Keser. We verstehen what the B'chin is. That's Alter Rebbe says the B'chin of And once you understand that Insof is not going on the Etzim, and it's not going on Kesher, we can understand that it could be B'chinas Tachtein and B'chinas Al Yen. That we're going to see in the Hamshel. Okay, Metach Mamshel Zayin.